This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Friday, March 24th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. The St. Louis-based parent of Ascension St. Vincent in Indianapolis has announced CEO Jonathan Nally will leave his position in late April. Nally was named CEO of the 22 hospital system in Indiana in 2014, after serving in the same role at Porter Regional Hospital in Valparaiso. An Ascension spokesperson told our partners at the IBJ no other members of the leadership team are leaving, but did not respond to questions about the circumstances of Nally's departure. In central Indiana, Ascension St. Vincent has 1,984 average staffed beds, putting it ahead of Indiana University Health, which has 1,766 average staffed beds, according to an IBJ review of records. The board of directors for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Northwest Indiana has selected Mike Jessen as the organization's next president and CEO, according to our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana. Jessen currently serves as city administrator in Valparaiso and a member of the Porter County Council, and says he will step down from both positions before taking on his new role May 1st. Jessen succeeds Ryan Smiley, who resigned from the position in November after being arrested for operating while intoxicated and reckless driving. For the third consecutive month, Indiana's unemployment rate remained at 3.1% in February. The Indiana Department of Workforce Development said private sector employment increased by 3,100 jobs over the previous month. The DWD said Indiana saw gains in the professional and business services, leisure and hospitality, and private educational and health services sectors. The state's unemployment rate remains below the national rate, which increased 0.2% to 3.6%. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Get ready, Southwest Indiana. We're headed your way. IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the second annual Engage Southwest Indiana event, presented by Indiana University and Old National Bank, Tuesday, April 11th at the Old National Events Plaza in Evansville. We'll be diving into regional and statewide initiatives with a focus on talent, education, and issues shaping our economy. It's all about advancing the future of Indiana. More at ibj.com/engage.
Visitors to the Falls of the Ohio State Park who have hearing, visual, and sensory challenges now have technology to enhance the educational experience. Gary Dick has more.
The Falls of the Ohio Foundation says technology to aid visitors with special needs has been installed at the park's Interpretive Center. Visitors can now download the free Access for All app and use it to enjoy the historical stories shared at the Interpretive Center. The foundation says the service will help visitors experience the museum in a way that is comfortable for them and on their own mobile devices. The park is located on the banks of the Ohio River in Clarksville. The Interpretive Center features 3,000 square feet of immersive exhibits that tell the story of fossil beds and receding glaciers, which carve the landscape along the river. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Carmel-based healthcare technology startup Blue Agilis has secured a $2.5 million round of seed funding from one of the nation's largest healthcare payers. The company's software platform helps healthcare providers implement the latest medical research into their practice, with the goal of delivering better outcomes and controlling healthcare costs. The goal is to move the industry beyond one-size-fits-all standards of care into a model where care can be customized based on a patient's diagnosis, age, race, and other factors. CEO Nadia Adams said the company plans to use the funding to improve its software platform with a focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning. A manufacturer headquartered in Monticello is celebrating 100 years in business this year. Fratco started in 1923 as a clay tile kiln and now manufactures corrugated drainage pipe, fittings, and accessories as a fourth-generation family-owned company. CEO Chris Overmeyer says adaptability has been key to the company's longevity.
Every day you wake up and the world's a little different, and the forces that cause that are bigger than you, and you can't really control, but you can adjust the azimuth of your ship, right, to the new true north. And that's what we try to do. I try to climb up in the crow's nest, look out over the bow and say, okay, 2 degrees right today. We built a good team that trusts that what I see is really what's going on. And we've made those small adjustments along the way to great success.
Fratco's corporate headquarters are located in Monticello, but its main operation is in nearby Francisville. The company also has 3 locations in Iowa and 1 in Illinois. The TechPoint Foundation for Youth will host the Indiana Robotics State Championship in downtown Indianapolis tomorrow. More than 1,600 students from throughout the state will compete at Lucas Oil Stadium for a chance to advance to the VEX World Championship in Dallas. Small businesses and nonprofit organizations in Gary will be able to get some financial help. Lakeshore Public Radio's Michael Gallenberger reports.
The City Council Tuesday agreed to appropriate $2 million in federal American Rescue Plan money to support small businesses, plus another $800,000 for nonprofits. Director of Community Development Arlene Colvin says it's designed to help organizations that were impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
This is a grant situation where the individual organization or business will apply for funds through an application. The applications will be reviewed by a committee, and the committee then will make recommendations or decide how funding should be distributed.
In a statement, Mayor Jerome Prince thanked council members for approving the funding and said plans for the application process will be announced later this spring. For Lakeshore News, I'm Michael Gallenberger.
Lucas Oil Products President Morgan Lucas is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand.